The Houston Rockets' decision to execute a blockbuster trade for Kevin Durant in June 2025 became one of the most debated moves in recent NBA history. They traded Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number, 10th pick in the 2025 draft, prospect Kaman Malawak, and 5 second-round picks to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Durant, a 15-time All-Star, 2-time Finals MVP, and one of the most prolific scorers in league history. This immediately shifted the NBA landscape, with Houston transforming from an emerging playoff team into a legitimate title contender on paper. Durant averaged 26.6 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists last season while shooting 52.7% from the field and 43% from three, numbers that placed him among the league's most efficient offensive players. His isolation scoring ranked first in the NBA at 1.15 points per possession, further emphasizing his ability to create offense at an elite level. Despite this, Houston immediately created controversy by refusing to extend Durant on the maximum 2-year, $122 million contract he is eligible for. Instead, the team offered a $100 million deal, effectively reducing his payday by $22 million. The situation has drawn comparisons to other aging superstar contracts that turned into financial disasters, making the Rockets' strategy appear deliberate rather than short-sighted. Durant is entering the final year of his current contract, which will pay him $54.7 million during the 2025 to 2026 season, and at age 37 next year, this could represent his last chance for a massive contract under the NBA's over 38 rule. Historical precedent looms heavily over this negotiation. The Lakers' 2013 decision to give Kobe Bryant a 2-year, $48.5 million extension at age 35 is often remembered as a franchise-crippling move. Bryant tore his Achilles, played just 6 games that season, and over the 2 years, Los Angeles only managed 38 wins, while his salary consumed roughly 40% of the team's cap space. Similarly, the Brooklyn Nets' infamous 2013 trade for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce at advanced ages saddled them with enormous luxury tax bills and cost them future draft picks that became Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who eventually led Boston to the 2024 NBA championship. Modern examples include Paul George's 4-year, $212 million deal with Philadelphia signed at age 34, a contract viewed skeptically due to his history of injuries with the Clippers, where he missed significant time in 4 of 5 seasons. The Phoenix Suns' current struggles are also part of the cautionary tale. Bradley Beal's 5-year, $251 million deal coincided with a 36-46 record in 2024-25 and an 11th place Western Conference finish, despite Phoenix carrying one of the league's most expensive payrolls. The new collective bargaining agreement has intensified the consequences of such contracts, introducing brutal second apron penalties that strip franchises of flexibility. Yet, concerns about Durant's durability remain valid. At age 36, he played just 62 of 82 games last season, missing time due to calf strains and ankle issues. His season ended prematurely on March 30th, marking another year where availability was compromised. He has played over 60 games only twice in the last 5 seasons, raising concerns about whether his body can withstand the demands of deep playoff runs. Phoenix's record last season underscores both his impact and his fragility. They were 33-29 with him on the floor, but just 3-17 without him. Age-related decline also factors in. Research indicates athletic performance typically declines after age 35, and Durant's lateral movement and perimeter defense have already begun to show slippage. The NBA experienced a worrying trend during the 2024-25 season with 7 Achilles tears, including injuries to major stars like Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard. Commissioner Adam Silver even launched an AI-driven investigation into the sudden surge. At 37, Durant remains vulnerable to a catastrophic injury that could instantly turn a lucrative contract into a financial liability for Houston. Historical parallels exist, such as Carmelo Anthony, who averaged 22.4 points at age 33 but fell to 16.2 points on 44% shooting the next season, ultimately becoming a marginal player. The Rockets' general manager, Rafael Stone, has approached this situation with a clear strategy rooted in long-term flexibility. Houston has developed a culture where even rising stars accept below-market extensions. Alperen Sengun signed a 5-year, $185 million contract, roughly $40 million under his maximum. Jabari Smith Jr. agreed to a 4-year, $90 million extension well below his market value. Even Jalen Green, before being traded, had signed a 3-year, $160 million contract instead of pursuing a maximum deal worth more than $200 million. This organizational philosophy emphasizes cap health and competitive balance over individual star compensation. Durant's case poses a unique unique challenge because he represents both a short-term championship opportunity and a long-term financial risk. ESPN's Brian Windhorst has reported that Durant is unlikely to stay in Houston without a maximum extension, estimating the probability of his departure at 98% if negotiations remain as they are. Durant's list of preferred trade destinations before the move included Miami and San Antonio, both of which could potentially offer him maximum contracts while also providing favorable tax conditions. If he decides to leave in 2026, the Rockets would effectively have surrendered Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and 6 valuable draft picks for a one-year rental. The situation is unprecedented because rarely has a team sacrificed so many assets for a superstar only to immediately draw a hard line in contract negotiations. Durant's production suggests he still has elite seasons left, but his durability and age are undeniable risks. The Rockets' choice will shape their identity, either as a disciplined organization that refused to overpay or as a hesitant contender that squandered its best chance at a championship in decades. The entire NBA is watching closely. Durant's response will determine whether Houston enters the 2025-26 season as a true powerhouse or a franchise on the brink of internal turmoil. If he accepts the offer, the Rockets have the opportunity to leverage his scoring alongside their young core to chase a title. If he rejects it, speculation about his future will overshadow the season, potentially destabilizing the team's chemistry. The stakes could not be higher, with Houston balancing between the promise of immediate glory and the threat of long-term regret. This is why the Rockets-Durant dilemma represents more than just a contract dispute. It embodies the collision of ambition, economics, legacy, and strategy in modern basketball. On one hand, the data supports caution, injuries, financial penalties, and historical failures justify Houston's hesitation. On the other hand, Durant's unparalleled scoring ability and the urgency of their championship window argue for taking the risk. The decision will not only define the Rockets' next few years, but could also serve as a case study for how franchises navigate superstar contracts under the NBA's evolving financial landscape.
Well, the Rockets look great on paper. You know, Kevin's a great player.
Well, look, the Houston Rockets turned Jalen Green into Kevin Durant. That is an unbelievable upgrade.
One of the greatest players ever, one of the best scorers ever. He's going to make...
First blockbuster trade of the NBA offseason is in the books, as Kevin Durant is going from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick in this year's NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks. For the Houston Rockets, the goal here was very simple. Upgrade an offense that was not good enough to get the second-seeded Rockets out of the first round of the playoffs by adding still one of the best scorers in the league in Durant, who, despite being in his age 37 season, put up prolific offensive numbers, will immediately step in as the best scorer on this Rockets team and gives Houston a chance to potentially upgrade itself in its chase to try to catch up to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the other teams atop the Western Conference standings. Now, on the other side of this trade for the Phoenix Suns, this is the first step in what they hope is going to be a multi-step retooling of the roster this offseason. Clearly, the Suns did not get where they hoped to go over the past couple years after trading all of their draft picks and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson to the Brooklyn Nets for Durant in February of 2023. This team did not even make the play-in tournament this year with Durant. They decided they needed to go in another direction to try to refresh the roster around Devin Booker. Now with Jalen Green, with Dillon Brooks, with this first-round pick in this year's draft, a lottery pick, and what is a deeper draft this year, the Suns are going to be very active this week, trying to improve the roster, trying to give themselves a chance to get back in the playoff mix. But obviously the headline here is Kevin Durant, after weeks of speculation,